Hey everybody, today we are looking into Quantum Computing Incorporated stocks. So they have been blowing up today, top trending on StockTwits, huge growth. I think they're up over 40%. So we are going to go into their earnings, their financials, their recent stock price movement, and we're going to look through, see what's happening with this company. I'm going to give you all the information you need to know. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. I post videos like this every single day of the week. So let's get into quantum computing. So, a few things to start with here. First of all, obviously, they do quantum computing, hence the company name. And basically, they just do different kind of software applications for quantum computing through many different means. But first off, this company is just over 1 billion. So this is still a very small company. Cost of capital is 12%, which is a little bit above average, nothing too crazy. Target price is at 8.5, which obviously today it has exploded over $15 a share. So that is definitely something to pay attention to. Going into their growth summary, we can see mostly positive numbers here. You can see EPS is projected to decline. That is most likely just because they will be diluting their own stock to bankroll themselves, if I had to guess. But overall, the important ones, EBITDA, net income, even sales, are showing very, very strong projected growth, including free cash flow within the next couple of years, which is arguably even more important. So overall, the growth summary looks really, really solid. Let's get into some of their financial statements, and I'll show you some of the things I've been seeing. So starting off, as I've been recording this video, you can see their stock price is still going up today, almost at $16. So that is just another thing they are taking off. But the numbers here are very interesting. So this is all in thousands. So they have had 100,000 in sales over the past quarter, which, if you think that sounds a little strange, it's because it is, considering the company's over $1 billion market cap. That is crazy. Um, Again, they've lost about 5.5 million over the past quarter and have been doing so for the past couple quarters now. You can see their EPS is also kind of improving, as you would think, but at the same time, they're also diluting fairly significantly. They were at less than a year ago, they were at 81. I'm assuming this is 81 million shares. Now they're at 93 million. So there's a massive amount of dilution of their stock here. And then obviously their EBIT is negative. But if we go into their balance sheet, you could see their assets have also been declining fairly recently. So in 2022, back here, you could see they were at 95 million in assets. Now they're at 76. So that is definitely something to be concerned about. Now, obviously, if we go back to the income statement quickly, you can see they are doing massive R&D investments. So that is very, very good. Hopefully, they can use that to develop their earnings in the future. But overall, this is a very high risk situation where they are bleeding money, but they're pouring it into research and development, and hopefully it will pay off in the future. But anyway, back to the balance sheet. You can see they took out a massive amount of debt in the past quarter. This is most likely to bankroll them through the next couple quarters while they try to find their footing somewhere. Overall, it does seem to be in a manageable position where it shouldn't be too bad. But again, their retained earnings are very, very negative at a negative 150 million. Now, again, this is an over $1 billion company, so that isn't the craziest thing in the world. But it is just definitely something to pay attention to. So let's head into the cash flows, see how they're doing there. I'd imagine it will be pretty rough, which obviously funds from operations are very, very negative. We could see that massive debt issuance. And actually, they did use it to repurchase some stock, which is kind of an interesting move, at least in my opinion. I can't imagine why they would want to spend their money on repurchasing stock in the past quarter when there's probably better ways to put that to use. But overall, that's perfectly fine if they want to repurchase their stock by taking out debt, I guess. But negative free cash flow is the big one here. It has been very negative for many quarters now, every single one actually recently. But let's go into the use of cash and kind of see where they're putting it. So we did just talk about that stock repurchase. Let's see if that shows up here yet, which you can see it does. So actually, it seems like over the past 3 quarters, they have been repurchasing their stock, which I'm kind of shocked that they have been. But again, they also issued way more in the past 4, 5, 6 quarters as well. So there's nothing too crazy there. But other than that, we can see the debt issuance. They were working over the past year and a half ish to pay off their debt, and now it looks like they're back into issuance mode where they're going to be bankrolling themselves with their debt for hopefully the short term. It's unsustainable long term, so hopefully they can turn this around within a year or two. But up until that point, I think they should be fairly healthy to do so. Going into I'll actually check out their segment history quickly just to see where we're at here. So you can see they are fairly new, um, but also fairly large amount of sales growth over the past 2 years, which is good. But let's head into the ratios, see what we're looking at here. So I can't imagine anything too crazy. Obviously, their profitability margins are going to be all over the place. ROA, ROE are both looking better than they were a few years ago. We can go into the quarters a little bit and see kind of what's going on here. So ROA, ROE are steadily improving. That is something to definitely pay attention to. Don't get me wrong, losing 28% on your investments on equity is terrible, or 32% is terrible, and that's per quarter, each quarter. But honestly, considering it's slowly making its way to that positivity range, hopefully within a year or two, we will see that. But overall, let's go to their debt to equity just to show they did just take out that large amount of debt, but their debt to equity is still very healthy. Anything under 80% is considered healthy, and having it at 12% is just fantastic. That's very low. But overall, that's about it for their financials. So let's head into their earnings statements. So first thing, the real major thing driving the stock today is that they were awarded a fairly major contract with NASA this morning, as you can see, December 17th. Down here, that is today. So basically, this is what is blowing up their stock today. That is very good for the company, as hopefully it kind of paves the way to further cooperation with NASA, which obviously government contracts are really the thing you want to get in this industry. Expected to produce long-term benefits for NASA, big data processing capabilities. So overall, this is really good for the company. Hopefully they can put this to work, putting photons to work, but hopefully they can put this to work towards really driving some future earnings and profitability. But anyway, let's get into their recent earnings report. So I don't know how much data there's going to be here, which obviously there isn't, as it's a fairly small company. You can see R&D expense, though, right here has decreased, but overall, it doesn't look like there's too much here for the actual company to report on, unfortunately. 76 looks like assets increase year over year, which is definitely something to note, but overall, they don't give us too much, and that is about it. So let me see what this one is, and here we go. Here's some actual information that we could have here. So revenues totaled 100,000. Their gross margin was 9% compared to 50,000 from a year ago, where the gross margin was actually 52%, which is interesting. But increase in revenues, decrease in margin was primarily the result of our contract with Johns Hopkins University. So that is definitely something interesting. Now, the thing with this company is they're getting these big contracts, but they need to be able to turn it into profitability. The company physically cannot sustain itself as long as it has negative cash flow long term. So that is something that needs to be focused on in the future. Now, again, obviously, massive research and development going on. So they are working towards that. They are making products that will guarantee that in the future. It's just a matter of how long will it take. So if you want to read through the rest of these financial highlights, you're welcome to. I'm just going to browse over this quickly and see if there's anything else. So obviously these are some other partnerships down here. We could see progress with NASA, a fifth order with NASA, developing quantum technology for spaceborne missions. So definitely some promising things for them in the future. But let's get into their stock chart and kind of see where we've been heading recently. So quantum computing, you could see they actually topped right around when I was recording earlier at 1760. They kind of fell back down to earth, if you got that joke. So sorry. They fell back down towards the 14s now, which is totally fine just considering they're up 33% today. And on Friday, they were up 65%. So they are definitely going to be flying, taking off, if you will. But but overall, it looks like they're kind of starting to find a support area here loosely. I'd imagine they will probably come back down to the $8 to $9 range sometime in the next couple weeks, maybe a couple days, but possibly all the way down to $7. But I think this support area will hold. Um, Obviously, their next earnings report apparently isn't for a while, but so they just released one, which was in November and October. They released earnings reports, which is a little interesting, but it looks like that's just how they do it, where they release two that are closer, and then there's a bit more of a gap in between. But overall, should be very interesting to see what happens over the next couple months. Hopefully they can start making some real money off of those partnerships that we talked about. But that is about it for quantum computing. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and I will see everybody in the next video.